What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Late Night Show with Dr. Kojo. I'm your host, Kojo, checking in from the heart of Texas. This is a Texas show, but we still have some Los Angeles love in here, some Southern California love in here. We have Angel, who was on our live stream last week, a couple days ago, and we have her back. We're going to be talking about ADHD and autism relationship struggles. I'm checking in from the ADHD side. She's checking in from the autism side. So I'm excited to get into it.
Hello again. I'm Angel Deridorian. I'm a professional musician. I am in LA area. I kind of go between New York and LA, and I'm self-diagnosed ASD1, I guess, so similar to Asperger's.
You said you're self-diagnosed autism. What are some of the relationship struggles that you think that you have had?
Definitely being misinterpreted because I have really flat affectations. People have called me like Daria. I don't know if you remember this show on MTV a long time ago called Daria. So Daria was just this cartoon character that was very kind of like deadpan and apathetic, seemingly apathetic. And she's like alternative, like into music. And she had a best friend named Jane Lane, and Jane was also like a punk kind of rocker chick. But people would call me Daria all the time. Definitely in high school, I think it was like really misinterpreted. I was really, I definitely could see that some teachers didn't like me because I couldn't like play into their favoritism kind of game. This was acting teachers actually, which is hilarious because like if anything, I guess I couldn't act to impress them. And then I had, like groups of friends. I don't know if it's an autism thing, but in high school, I had like a group of girlfriends just like ditch me because I think what happened was that we went on a school trip and we were all sharing a hotel room, and I have to sleep. Like it's really important. So I fell asleep before them. And I think I talked in my sleep and yelled at them. Said something that was probably kind of rude. After that trip, they stopped talking to me, and I asked them why, and they wrote me a note that was like, "You know what you did," and like still to this day, I don't know what I did, but I definitely am like really feeling a little paranoid now about how I communicate with people after learning about the ASD stuff, because it's so normal to me. And I'm like, I didn't even think I was like a logical thinking person, but I am now that I know about this stuff, to where that can seem kind of cold or misunderstood in relationships where you need to be able to have some kind of communication that expresses warmth and compassion at times, even if you feel like you have those things, which I certainly do. It's just like there's, someone might be telling me kind of like a traumatic story, and I respond very flatly, which doesn't offend them, actually. I think that's why they like talking to me about that stuff. So that would be maybe a more positive aspect to it. But, in like personal...
People feel safer with you because you don't have that exaggerated reaction to like unfortunate news. Okay.
Or if like someone's talking about, a death in their, of a close one or something, like it doesn't register in a certain way for me, but I'm like really empathetic too. This is like that hypo and hypersensitivity stuff that's talked about with ASD, where there's certain things where it just doesn't compute in a way that maybe someone else would be like, ouch, wow, that's wild.
Right.
And like romantic relationships, I've probably seemed pretty, emotionally unpredictable and overbearing at times, or controlling at times, because I didn't realize the extent of my kind of like rigidity around home life, where I need, everything to be sensory friendly. I didn't even know I was doing this until I got ASD or whatever, or learned about ASD. So it's like, I need to make the house exactly how I want to make it. If I'm living with a partner, almost, I need to have this kind of space. I need like a lot of time alone, and that can be really offensive to a partner, especially if they're neurotypical and you haven't like worked out your needs. I've definitely had the I don't know which angel I'm gonna get every day kind of comments, and that feels terrible because I'm not trying to be that way. It's just like I'm so overstimulated probably, and didn't even realize that in the past, and wasn't very good at exercising my boundaries and needs, that it came out like I'm just some emotionally unpredictable person who, is like subconsciously rejecting my partner.
And have you ever been able to verbalize that and to let your partner know that, hey, I'm not this cold person that I appear to be? Or at that time, you weren't aware of, your diagnosis, or you hadn't done the research to make progress into knowing about who you are?
At the last like serious relationship I was in, I did not know I had ASD, but what I did know was that because I had learned a lot about attachment theory, like my attachment style is disorganized, so I can be avoidant when someone's more anxious and vice versa. But what I like promised myself in that relationship was to be very direct all the time and like express my needs. And the thing is that the partner had more anxious tendencies, so I just felt like anything I said wasn't believed, because this happens with anxious attachment style. Like, and I've totally been the anxious attached person in a relationship. You can't really accept the truth of the dynamic, and you want to keep reframing it in this fantastical kind of way. So you're like, oh, that's not what they really mean, and this is our perfect relationship and this thing and that thing, when really it's like, no, we have some like serious stuff we got to talk about and like get through. And it just kind of shatters the superficiality of this like fantasized idea of a relationship. So
Is that helpful or hurtful?
for me, it's helpful to shatter the illusion. So
Right.
it's so intense.
It makes sense. Like you get to cut through the BS and really get to who that person is. Is that correct?
I want to know who the person is. I don't want like shame or guilt or low self-esteem to get in the way of connecting with a partner for me. And I'm super intimidating to a lot of men because the ASD doesn't like give me the sweetness of certain women and what's expected of women or femme identifying. So I can seem cold, yet it's just that I don't like, if I can do all that stuff, by the way, it's just masking is really intense. And I don't want to mask in a relationship that's intimate with me to make another person feel more comfortable, because it's pushing me out of my comfort zone. Right. Does that make sense?
Right. Congratulations on that, because when you take a stand to show up in a relationship as your authentic self, your dating pool cuts in half, or even greater than that, because a lot of people are incompatible now. But your chances of getting somebody who is for you increases, in my opinion.
Yes, I'm learning that right now.
You just gotta be a bit patient, a tad bit patient.
Yeah, and it really has changed my concept of what love is and what a loving relationship is too, and getting out of this kind of like Disney-esque facade that we've all been shown from childhood, where it's like, especially for girls, because it's like, oh, a man's gonna come save me, transform me into something, and then I'll start my life. And you're like, oh my God, that's not gonna happen.